Jai Gurudev, Jai Masters. There are reasons that people can't stay happy and cheerful all the time. And those reasons are very, very important. They are the crux of your spiritual growth. They are what stands between you and God. To ignore those reasons is to miss the entire purpose of things. To not like those reasons, to suppress them, to try to escape them, to try to compensate for them, try to make them feel better, is to completely miss the purpose of your life. Your natural state, everybody's natural state, is one of complete joy, unconditional. It's just a constant rush of energy going up. You don't do anything. Just like you don't have to do anything to breathe. You don't have to do anything for your heart to beat, for your circulation system to work, for your food to digest. They are natural processes. Likewise, the Shakti flow, the spirit flow, the Chi flow, going up, constantly flowing up, is your natural state. If you achieve that state, and you attain that state, and you return to that state, you will never have another problem for the rest of your life. Why? Because the only thing you're trying to achieve is well-being. If you already have it, there's no issues. Then the rest is just play. The rest is just, what do you want to do with your well-being? I think I'll play today. I'll play business, play mother, play father. It doesn't matter. It's just play, because you've already gotten everything you want. Everybody takes things seriously because they want something, or they're afraid of something. If you neither want anything nor are afraid of anything, because you have everything, not because you renounced it, or suppressed it, or denied it, but because you have everything, when you have everything, you don't need anything. Then you're not afraid of losing anything. You're not afraid of things going wrong, because you are already in a state of total well-being. That is your natural state. That is everybody's natural state. And there's absolutely nothing that you will ever do or have ever done that will ever take that away from you. There's no punishments, there's no karma, not at that level. At the level I'm talking about, it's all just ecstasy. It's all just bliss. It's all just tremendous Shakti flow coming up and feeding you all the time. Okay, why don't I feel that? That is the spiritual question. Not how do I meditate, not what guru do I have to go find, not any of these things. It is, why do I not feel that? That's the core of your spirituality. Why am I not experiencing my spirituality? Why am I not experiencing the natural state of my being? Fortunately, there are reasons, and they're very good reasons, and they're very easy reasons to understand. You have blocked your energy flow. You, nobody else. You're the only one in there. Only you can do it. You have blocked your energy flow. Just like a river can be blocked, a stream can be blocked. If you dam it up, it doesn't flow properly. It can't flow downstream. Downstream becomes a drought. If you dam up your energy flow, it cannot come up and feed you. It gets suppressed. It gets pushed down and causes trouble down there. Just like if you dam up a river, downstream becomes dry, upstream is in big trouble. It floods. It's got all kinds of trouble. If you leave the river alone in its natural state, it will find its Tao, its balance, and it will relatively behave. If you dam it up, you have to do three things. One, you have to maintain the dam, because it's not natural. A lot of people work every day to keep the Hoover Dam stopping the Colorado River from going where it used to go. And they will always do it forever. There will never be a time there doesn't have to be all those people and all that money spent to keep that dam. Upstream on the dam, it floods. All right? They have to open up the valve. They have to open up the gates to keep it from flooding upstream. It's a constant thing. Downstream, there's a drought. Downstream, there used to be farms. There used to be things. That's what happens when you dam things up. It's a damn thing when you dam things up. Likewise, it is the same thing inside of you. If you dam up your Shakti flow, if you dam up your energy flow, then above the dam, you're dry. Below the dam, the energy needs to do something, so it causes all kinds of trouble down there. We'll talk about that a little later. So the question becomes, do you want to feel the joy, the love, the inspiration, the constant feeding? Christ said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. Someday you will understand exactly what that means. Right now you get high because somebody likes you, because you got a raise, because something happened that you like. That's your bread. That's the bread that's feeding you. What does it mean to not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaves the mouth of the Father? This Shakti flow, this natural spirit flow that flows inside of you, is from a very high place, and it feeds you. It takes care of you completely once you reach that state. So you choose, do I want to return to that state of absolute unconditional well-being, or do I want to deal with myself in a blocked state and see what I can do and still be okay? In other words, maintain the dam, don't flood uphill, try to get some water down. It's a constant process. You're constantly trying to be okay. You're constantly trying to buy something, trying to avoid something, constantly trying to have something not happen, trying to have something happen. That is why you're busy. Of course you're busy trying to be okay. Why? Because you're not okay. It's very natural to want to be okay. And if you're not okay and you feel dry, then you feel the relationship might feed you. You feel that more money might feed you. You feel that travel might feed you. And you're constantly thinking of all these things, and your society completely supports you in this. They encourage you to do this, of what needs to happen outside so I get some juice inside. That's like sitting there saying, what do I need to do to maintain the dam so it doesn't break? What do I need to do to, pump the water off upstream so it doesn't flood? And what do I need to do downstream to irrigate and bring false irrigation? In other words, you don't understand there's a natural state for that river to flow, and you blocked it. And because you blocked it, you have all this work to do. So eventually you come down to the real question. How did I block it? I don't remember blocking it. How did I block it? And that's the most important spiritual question you will ever ask. Because if you know how you blocked it, you know how to unblock it. If you don't know how you blocked it, have fun. People just tell you things to do, techniques and so on. That is so meaningless, it's ridiculous. There is a place for techniques. There is a place for meditation on different spiritual things, all right? But not until you know what you're doing. Otherwise, they're just raw attempt to get what you want. You can't get it, so you think meditation will give it to you. You can't get it, so you think going to Nepal and meeting Buddhist monks will give it to you. You understand that? It's just another thing to have to do. It's another process when you don't even understand what's going on. Therefore, it doesn't really work. It worked for a minute. You'll go to a retreat, have some spiritual experience, then talk about it for 5 years what an experience you had. If you want that, you came to the wrong place. I have no interest in spiritual experiences. I have no interest in you having spiritual experiences. I want you to attain a spiritual state permanently, not have an experience. And the only way you're doing that is to remove those blockages. So all of spirituality is about removing the blockages. Now, can meditation help? Of course. Can mantra help? Of course. Can yoga help? Of course. These things can help you do that. But they are not things in and of themselves. They're not spiritual things. They are processes that you can practice in order to regain your natural state of spirituality. All right? Now, what are the blockages? And how exactly did I do it? I don't remember doing it. I wouldn't want to do that. I'd rather have the good juice. How do I block myself up? It's very simple. Events happen in this world. Things happen. Have you noticed? It's a happening place. Every single moment, there is something going on in front of you. Have you noticed that? Something going on in front of you. There it is. There's something going on everywhere. But you're only seeing the part that goes on in front of you. All right? Sometimes the part that unfolds in front of you is rather nice. And sometimes the part that unfolds in front of you is not so nice. There are nice people, there are not such nice people. There are nice words that get said to you. There are some really not nice words that get said to you. There's really, really loving moments, and there's really, really painful and distraught and difficult moments. That's called reality. For everything there's a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. That's yin-yang. That's the Western version of yin and yang. The world is what it is. The world is neither good nor bad nor right nor wrong. It is the result of the forces that cause it to be the way they are. If you say something is wrong, and I know you think things are wrong, if you say something is wrong, then you're saying the forces that happen that cause it to be that way are wrong. And the forces that cause those forces to be the way they are wrong. So you've just said all of creation is wrong. Because it's all tied together all the way back to the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. If the charge of an electron wasn't exactly what it is, things wouldn't be the way they are. So therefore things are bad, so therefore the electron charge is wrong. Just understand that. If you say a person is wrong, how could he have done what he did? That's terrible. I would never do that. That person's wrong. Then you're saying all of the influence that caused that person to do that. Upbringing, formative years, mommy, daddy, every single thing. First girlfriend that dumped him when he was 12. All of them are wrong. All of it's wrong. Anybody listening? It is all a system that is a result of all the forces that have caused everything to be. So I'm not saying they're morally right. I'm not saying they're the way I prefer them to be. I am saying, and I say this more and more to you, I take my life in my hands, that every single thing in creation is perfect. Every single thing in creation is perfect. It is the perfect result of the forces that cause it to be the way it is. It's the perfect result. There are reasons for things, and it is the perfect result of the reasons that made it be that way. That doesn't mean it's morally right. That doesn't mean it's optimal or anything like that. It just means, given the forces that cause it to be, it is perfect. It did it perfectly. Doesn't mean we have to leave it that way. Doesn't mean there's nothing we can do about it. But you start by understanding the world is creating itself. It unfolds in front of you, and you experience it. That's called reality, because you have senses, so you experience the part that's in front of you. Sometimes it's very pleasant. Sometimes it's not. Okay, that's the way it is. Guess what? You're not going to do anything about that. The world's a big place. It rains when it's supposed to rain, not when you want it to. And sometimes people are in a bad mood when they come visit you. You happen to be the person in front of them when they're in a bad mood. All right? I always tell you, if somebody is standing face to face with you, 3 inches away yelling at you, they are not yelling at you. You just happen to be standing in a place in the universe where somebody's yelling. Probability is that given the forces that are making that person yell, if you weren't there, he'd be yelling at the birds or the roaches or some other person. If that person didn't feel like yelling, they wouldn't be yelling at you. Oh, but I stepped on his toe, or I kicked his book. Okay, if he just fell in love, he'd say, oh, you want to take the book. You understand that? If that person was in a good mood, they wouldn't be yelling at you. You didn't make their mood. It's not personal. The universe is unfolding. It is the perfect result of the forces that have caused it to be that way. You are standing in one tiny spot in the universe, experiencing what's unfolding. How many other spots are there where you're not standing? 700 billion zillion. And there's stuff going on there too. You just don't happen to be there. That is your starting place of spirituality. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Because nobody can deny that what I just told you is the truth, can they? That is the truth. Well, is it the Christian truth? Yep. Is it the Jewish truth? Yep. Is it the Islam truth? Yep. All right? It has nothing to do with anything, does it? It's just the truth. It's what we call the absolute truth. Okay. So now what happens is it unfolds in front of you. I'm going to do this very quickly because I've done it so many times before. And it comes in and it doesn't feel good. Smells don't smell good. Something touches you doesn't feel good. Rain doesn't feel good. Sound doesn't feel good, or does, whatever it is. Every one of your senses can either feel good or not feel good, right or wrong. Comes in, depending on the vibration of what's going on out there. When it comes in, it carries that vibration and therefore makes an impression inside of you. If you can handle that, and I'm going to define what it means to handle it. You ready? You don't have to do anything about it. That's what it means. I can handle that. Can you handle if I took your car? Can you handle if I took your car? And you sit there and say, for how long? Well, hour or two. I borrow it, an hour or two. I can handle that. What does that mean? I don't need to call the police. I don't need to run after you. I don't need to do something about it because I could handle it. That's the definition that you can handle it. Can you handle your boyfriend dancing close with some other girl? Can you handle these events that are coming in through your senses? If you can't handle them, you will do something about them. Why? In order to stop them, because I can't handle them. If I can't handle it, I got to do something about it. That's the definition of can't handle. I need to do something about it. If I can handle it, I don't have to do anything about it. All right, so these events come in from outside, and some of them are not comfortable. And my question to you is, can you handle that? Because there are going to be events that unfold in front of you that are not comfortable. Have you noticed? And by the way, it's not just can you handle the events that come in that are not comfortable. I want to know if you can handle the events that come in that are comfortable. Oh, you look weird at me then, right? You're married, you have 2 children, you're taking tennis lessons or golf lessons, and the pro is kind of cute. Can you handle it? Or do you need to get weird? Start running away and leave the kids? I don't know. People do all kinds of weird things because they can't handle it. Do you understand that? So you are just as bad as handling the positive things, the really positive thing. Every one of us is really bad at handling the extremes. How's that? If it's extremely positive, I want it. At what cost? I don't care. Causes a lot of trouble, doesn't it? All right? If it's extremely negative, I don't want it. At what cost? I don't care. All right? So it is the same thing with positive and negative. If you can't handle it, you have to do something about it. When it comes inside of you, does it force you to get uncomfortable enough or comfortable enough to where you need to do something about it? Now what happens is when you do something about it, that's when karma starts. I said to you, don't worry about karma. At the highest level, you have no karma. You're a free being, period. But what happens is when this stuff comes in and you have to do something about it because you can't handle it, it means you're not evolved enough yet to sit in the Shakti flow. Let's say you were feeling tremendous love and bliss before I borrowed your car or before your boyfriend went out with somebody else. Now can you handle it? You don't know because you've never been there, right? But all of a sudden, if you're really feeling good, it's beautiful, and who cares? You can have the car. Just leave me alone. All right? I'm already getting everything I thought I'd get from the car, all right? So it's amazing how it shifts depending on how you're doing inside. The point is, if it comes in and you can handle it, then it's not a problem by definition. It's not the issue, the event, that made it a problem. It was the fact that you couldn't handle it that made it a problem. All right. So now, what happens if I can't handle it? If something comes in and is not comfortable, it is natural. Doesn't make it right, but it's almost instinctual to push it away. If somebody comes up to you and takes a swing, you put your hand up. If something comes up to you and it threatens you physically, you throw your arms up, don't you? You try to keep it away from you. It's totally natural. If this thing comes in, it is not comfortable to you. It is attacking you. It is the enemy. It's not good. And you will naturally, until you learn otherwise, throw up your will to resist it. You have arms inside, and you will push it away. When you push that away, that is what's blocking your energy flow. What? What's that got to do with the energy flow? Where does it go when you push it away? It becomes a boulder in the river. You push it away, and it stays there because you didn't let it continue its journey through the universe. You didn't let it pass through you. The wind blows by, doesn't it? If you can't handle the wind blowing by you, you buy a 4x8 sheet of plywood, good luck, and hold it up against the wind because you don't want it hitting your face. There, I rest my case. That wind has become a big problem, hasn't it? You just blocked the force that was naturally passing by, therefore it stays. And you have to resist it and devote yourself to it. Every single thing you resist stays inside of you. And guess what? This should not be a shocking revelation because you know it does, don't you? I got a little mommy daddy stuff in there. What are all those formative years that the psychologists talk about? Ever have a fairly traumatic thing happen to you? You got robbed, beat up, this happened, car accident, anything? Most people had something. Is it still in there? Ever think about it? Anything ever remind you of it? Do you hear me? Comes back up in the dreams. Oh, you were in a car accident 20 years ago. All of a sudden you hear brakes screech. You freak out. No, not everybody's that way. Newsflash. It's because you have something stored inside of you that you didn't let pass. It wasn't okay with you. You couldn't handle it, so you suppressed it. It's like Freudian suppression. You pushed it away. When you push it away, it's a thing. In yoga, isn't it amazing as I talk about this? You can go back to the Upanishads, ancient, thousands of years ago, and they talk about samskaras. There's yoga. They talk about samskaras, the ancient scriptures. Samskaras are patterns of events that happen that you stored inside of you. Well, why is that different than Freud's suppression? That's exactly what he found, is that people have held their past inside of themselves. You have, haven't you? Those are the blockages that block your energy flow. Every single thing that you have stored inside of you from your past, not people confuse what I'm saying. It doesn't mean you can't remember something. It happened to you. You can remember it. When the wind blows by across your face and you let it go, you can remember the day it was windy. I'm not telling you to erase your memory. I'm telling you not to resist. Let's spend a moment on that because people really don't get that. There is a difference between experiencing something and handling what you experience and knowing that you experienced it. as opposed to not being able to handle it, thereby pushing it away, whereas it becomes a blockage that's stored inside of you. That's very different than knowing it happened to you. That's not wanting it to have happened to me. And because I don't want it to have happened to me, I pushed it away and it stayed stored as this blockage inside of me. And it has power, doesn't it? The day the wind blew and you didn't bother, it has no power. Doesn't mean you don't remember it, but it has no power over you, does it? But what mommy and daddy did, that stuff has power. First boyfriend, ex-husband, that's a good one. And you guys got exes, know what I'm talking about. It's like if you have experiences that were not pleasant and you were unable to handle them openly, when you had to close and resist them and store them and push them away, they are still affecting your life. They are boulders, rocks and boulders stored inside of you. And I'm telling you, they are stored exactly in the stream, in the channel where your energy flows, your natural energy flows. All right. That is about the most important thing you will ever learn. One, that you have a river of joy inside of you, you all do, that is so beautiful that it's higher than any experience you've ever had, and it goes on all the time. I actually used to call it ever new joy. Probably somebody said, well, won't you get tired of it? No, it's ever new joy. There is. It is there, okay? It is flowing. Now you know it's there. At least you hear me when I told you it is, and I'll prove it to you more. I'll prove it to you more that's inside of every one of you. And now I'm telling you why you don't feel it. You don't feel it not because it's not there. You don't feel it because you blocked it. And if you blocked it, it's going to cause trouble above the blockage, meaning you get dry periods, you don't feel love, you don't feel all kinds of negative, empty, psycho jumbo, right, is what we generally live in because we're not being fed. And below, it's causing trouble. It's causing trouble. It's stirring stuff up down there. You don't feel comfortable. You're scared. Jumps. All right, that's what it does. Just like I taught you about the Hoover Dam, right? So you got to work now. What do? I'm not comfortable. Let's get that straight. I'm not comfortable. Every one of you know you're sitting on top of a volcano. Every one of you know it, but no one will talk about it. Something could happen at any time, and you're in big trouble. That's because you're sitting on top of a volcano. What have you shoved down there? Everything that ever bothered you. Well, if you shove down there everything that ever bothered you, I think you're going to be bothered. What kind of a place is that to build your house? Christ said, don't build your house on sand, didn't he? Don't build your house on sand. You build your house on worse than sand. It's built right on top of everything that ever bothered you. If I had yours, it wouldn't bother me because I didn't go through the experience. It didn't bother me. I can handle that. Oh, your mama got divorced. Big deal, right? Nothing. But you had to go through it and you couldn't handle it, so you suppressed it and so on. And so now you got all this garbage down there. And so what happens is now you're busy because you couldn't handle the events, you pushed them away, but you still can't handle them. Now you got a whole bunch of stuff stored inside of you that you know you can't handle. There are literally people, this is extreme, but there are people. Their parents got divorced when they were 6. It was a terribly difficult time for them. They mommy and daddy and all the kind of thing kids go through with divorce, right? And now they grew up and they're 34 years old and you meet them, you say, have you ever married? No. No, you haven't ever married? No. Why? I don't want to get divorced. It was so hard. I don't want to get divorced and I don't have kids. Because what I had to go through, it was hell. And I'm not putting anybody through that. Now that may sound romantic to you. Maybe even say, oh, that's nice of you. It's not nice and it's not romantic. You should be able to handle the events that happen to you. That's karma. You'll understand how the past runs the present. You stored inside of you events from the past and they are guiding your life. No, better than guiding, destroying your life. And you got lots of those, don't you? So this stuff that you store down there is a major problem. Not only is it blocking your energy flow, but it's causing you disturbance and fear and all kinds of anxiety all the time. Because you're afraid it's going to happen again. You're afraid you do something wrong. People are afraid to go up and talk in class or give a public speech. I've known little kids that I can't believe that they're so open. They're just 6 years old. They just talk to everybody. Just go out there, right? And see what happens when they get to 12 or 15, by the time they get to college. They will have stood up at some point. Somebody would have laughed at them. They would have said something wrong, and they will have this scar inside of themselves. That's what some scar is. They couldn't handle it, So they shoved it down. Now every time they're called upon, you know about it, to get up and talk publicly or say something, they get nervous. They feel anxiety because they're afraid of going through that experience again. You probably know a lot about this because I've just given you a couple of small examples. That's everything. Grandma, she had grandkids, but she watched on TV about a plane crash. No, I can't fly in a plane. Like the car accidents killed 100 times, 1,000 times more people than planes, and she drives in cars all the time. But because she had that one impression, you know, like that, it runs your life. So that is what's blocking your energy. That's one thing it does. And the other thing it does is run your life. So that now in order to be comfortable, you need to go out there and try to create situations that match your blockages. That's, I keep saying, it's the deepest thing every teacher. That one is very deep. Pay attention. You're out there trying to have people, places, things, weather be the way you need it to be so you can be okay. You decide to go camping. Why? Because this guy you were looking at likes camping, all right? And so now we're going to go out there, and it's a special date, and you're feeling excited about it. Why are you excited about it? Because I'm lonely, and I think that this might solve my loneliness. But we're set up to go camping, and there's a cloud out, and it looks like it might rain tomorrow, and so now I'm freaking out. Why are you freaking out? I'm freaking out because it might rain. Anybody see how neurotic we've gotten? And it's all because you're not okay because of these blockages, and now you're trying to be okay by compensating for the blockages. That's all. That's all it is. The whole outside, the whole money thing, the relationship thing, the proving yourself thing, the career, every single thing is I'm not okay, and if this happens, I'll be okay. I'll be better. If that doesn't happen, I'll be okay. So you've now developed a mindset that's based upon your garbage. That's how you develop what you like and what you don't like and what you want and what you don't want. Everybody's so busy trying to get what they want and avoid what they don't want that they're not even questioning, where did I get this idea, what I want and what I don't want? And I'm telling you where you got it from. It is the opposite of your blockage. What you don't want matches your blockage, and what you want is the compensation for your blockage. I feel lonely. I don't feel anybody could love me. I get dumped so many times and so on. What do you want? I want someone to dote all over me. I want someone who's really popular, that everybody else wants them to be attracted to them, to be attracted to me. And I want it very public. You blushed when I talked about it. You're compensating for the problem you have inside of you. What's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing, except it doesn't work. It's not going to get rid of the samsara. It's not going to get rid of what you stored down there. If you get married and part of your marriage vows are we will never get divorced because your parents got divorced, and we'll wait 6 years before we have children to make sure that our marriage is stable enough because I don't want them to go through what I went through. Is that solving anything, or is that reinforcing your neurosis? If a kid's throwing a tantrum in a department store and you get him what he's crying for, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Oh, I see. But that's what you do to yourself all the time. If she throws a tantrum in there, what do? You do everything you can to get what she's asking for. There is a reason the kid is throwing a tantrum, and there is a reason that you think you need this and don't want that and so on. And now what you're doing is buying into these samskaras, these patterns that you stored inside, running your life. So now we're back to, there's two things that happen with those blockages. One, they block your Shakti flow. So you can't feel spirit, you can't feel great joy all the time and love and unconditional well-being, which is what I want for you. And second, they make your life a complete mess. Bad enough you don't get the good stuff. They make you a neurotic mess about having to fight with every moment in front of you to try to make it be the way you need it to be so you're okay. You're trying to make people be what you want. No, I like a little space. When you come home, just notice that I need a little space. Not that much space. Just, no. It's so cute, it's ridiculous. You're trying to make the world outside of you come in a way that doesn't stimulate the bad samskaras and stimulates the good ones so that you can feel okay. They're running your life and everybody else's life around you too. All right? And since none of us agree, let's get this over with, there is no one who agrees with how you want things. Why? Because they've had totally different experiences than you. Totally. Everybody has a totally different experience than you. And they've stored different things inside because they could handle things you couldn't, et cetera, et cetera. There's all the pattern, how they happened, in what order. And so basically everybody's completely different inside. You're completely different than every single person that walks and ever walked this earth. Why? Because you've had totally different experiences. Totally different. Every single thing that comes in, you are processing it different. so amazing. I hope you see it. What happened to you 2 minutes ago determines how you're hearing what I said. If you have people come to me and say, oh, I had a conversation about just that when we were driving over here. You're really interested in what I said. If somebody said this similar type stuff, you had gotten into spirituality a few years ago with a guy you were dating and he dumped you, you're going to get up and walk out when I start talking like the stuff you heard before. So it's not even what you're experiencing. It's the complexity of what you're experiencing on top of what you've already experienced and in what order. Therefore, nobody is even close to what you are. So you wake up and realize what a mess this stuff makes. And now you come back to where I started the conversation. Spirituality, under all circumstances, is about getting rid of the blockages that are blocking the flow of the chi, of the Shakti, of your energy flow. Period. That's what it's about. You're not going to compensate for them. They stay in there. And then you got to own and possess and manipulate, and you'll be busy for the rest of your life. You have to get rid of them. So now that we understand what they are, can you get rid of them? Yes. You can get rid of them. Well, what about the ones that have been there for 50 years? It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. Let me tell you now about the ones that have been there for 50 years. Do they ever show back up? When you go visit your parents, or hear somebody talk, it sounds like your mother, or have a situation unfold that reminds you of that. It comes back up, doesn't it? What do you do when it comes back up? Oh, what do I do? Push it back down. Down there where you belong. I didn't like you when you happened, and I don't like you now. Just get down there. Right? And that's how you deal with your stuff. You keep it blocked inside of you. I'm going to make a statement to you. There's only one reason that stuff's still in there, because you're keeping it in there. Not only did you push it away to start with, it is not natural that it stay down there. It will always try to come back up. Sometimes you have nightmares in your dreams. You remember things that were really tumultuous, don't you? You wake up sweating, crying, or scared, or whatever the heck it is. Yes or no? Did you ask for that? Did you, before you went to sleep? Oh, let's get neurotic while I'm sleeping. I would like my first husband to reappear in my life and have arguments again. This is going to be fun. No, you don't do that. Well, then why does it happen? Why does it happen? It was not a willful act. Why does that come back up? Because it is not natural that it be stored in there. It is energy that needs to be released. Therefore, when you're not around to push it back down, it sneaks up on you. All right? It sneaks up. And I always like to finish the story because you should know this much psychology. That's what Freud taught, and he was right. And like I said, yoga taught it thousands of years ago, right? It's going to come back up. What if when it comes back up, you wake up and freak out? Oh my God, it was terrible, right? Well, then it didn't get to come back up. Didn't get to release, did it? Because you woke up and stopped it. Do everything you can to push it back. I got to calm down. I got to get something to eat. I need to talk to somebody. In other words, I don't want this stuff going on inside of me. It's bothering me. It's disturbing me. And then you get back. You say, okay, now I'm okay. No, you're not. Who's willing to be honest? No, you're not okay. You're just as not okay as you were before this made you realize how not okay you are. You just push it back down until it gets quiet, don't you? Whoa. Anybody have sensitive subjects? I remember I grew up in my family, but there was a sensitive subject in the family. And literally, you didn't talk about it. You weren't supposed to talk about it. We dealt with that. We're finished with it. It was a bad experience that we all went through, and it's over. Don't talk about it. If it's over, how come you can't talk about it? It can't very well be over. It's different than everything else. It's just amazing. And we tolerate that. Maybe you know something about that with yourself or anybody else. That you know you don't talk about their ex or this or that or who died or something like that. All right? So it's interesting. So what we do, I'm proving to you that it comes back up. I was going to finish off by telling you that when Carl Jung showed up after Freud, post-Freudian, he showed that if it is traumatic enough and difficult enough to where you would wake up and resist it even in your sleep, it turns itself into symbols. That's all of Jungian psychology. And it's very simple, right? Their mind is so brilliant that it knows it has to get it past you. And so it symbolizes it. You know about that much psychology, don't you? That your dreams can be symbols. Isn't that interesting? What is that showing you? That it doesn't want to be in there. Why did it go to so much trouble without any effort of your own, in fact, in spite of you, to try to release some of that energy? Because it is not natural that it be stored in there. It wants to continue its journey to free itself, to be able to pass through like it was supposed to start with. Yes, events happen. Yes, they do. And some of them are pleasant and some of them aren't. Remember I said that to you. Have you noticed? If you can let it be unpleasant and then let it be finished, it will be finished. If you're not able to handle it being unpleasant, and therefore you store it inside of you, it will never be finished. Which one do you want? So what you catch on to is the stuff doesn't want to be in there. It will naturally come back up. And so the question becomes, do you want it in there or not? Because that's the decision of a spiritual life. A person that does not want a spiritual life, that wants a worldly life, sits there and says, get that stuff out of my face. I don't ever want to see it again, and just push it back down. And I'm going to create a world in front of me that doesn't hit it, so I don't have to deal with it. I'm going to go on vacations and do things and distract myself from myself, constantly be busy out there and new relationships and all kinds of stuff that keep me busy outside so I don't have to deal with what's going on inside. That's a normal human life. A spiritual being looks at that and says, I don't want this stuff stored inside of me. I want to feel my natural joy, my natural inspiration, my natural love. Therefore, I am willing to do whatever work is necessary to not have this stuff stored inside of me. That's a spiritual being. Do you want to placate, spend your entire life trying to placate these blockages you have inside of you so you can have a few good moments and not be too scared? Or do you want to get rid of the things and see what it's like to be free? We call that liberation. Liberation. Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul. So how do I get rid of this stuff? Look, it took me a long time to explain to you what you're doing in there and that you got this stuff. I'm so happy to tell you that it will only take me a couple of minutes to tell you how to get rid of it. What do you mean? I told you it doesn't want to be in there. So stop pushing it back down when it comes up. It's that simple. Here, you're going out with somebody, it looks like it's going to rain, it starts coming up, you get nervous, I never get a chance, it always screws me up, the universe doesn't like me. Do you want to be like that? Do you really believe that? Do you want to be like that? I'm asking you, do you like that? And then go to bed scared, and then all excited because it's not raining in the morning, or depressed because it is? You really want the weather to determine how you're doing? And so I told you, what you're looking for is unconditional well-being. That has to be unconditional. So what do I do if this neurotic stuff happens inside of me? You let it go. That'd be nice to let it go. What does that mean? The highest thing you can do is handle it. Remember, I made a big deal of that word, handle it. If you could have handled it to start with, it wouldn't be inside of you. If you could handle the fact that when you were 12 years old, a boy dumped you, you wouldn't be running around with all this insecurity that then somebody's going to dump you again. You hear me? If you could handle it, rite of passage, got dumped. I've seen movies about that. I got to get dumped. Wow, that's neat. You could have had fun with it, but no way you were ready for that, were you? So you couldn't handle it. And because you couldn't handle it, you carried it with you. You suppressed it. You held it inside of you. So what I'm asking you is, now that you're a little older, you've been around the block a few times, you realize, life happens. It's not personal. It happens. There's something going on everywhere. You just have to be standing in front of this piece. It's not personal. But no, because I can't handle it, I stare at it. I couldn't handle it, you dumped me, so that's all I think about. It's so funny. But it's because I couldn't handle it that I have to do that. If you can't handle it, you do something about it. So what I'm asking you, now that we've come a long way, is now it comes back up. Years later, or 20 minutes later, whatever it is, it comes back up. Can you handle that? I know you couldn't handle it when it happened. That's why it's still in there. I want to know whether you can handle it when it comes back up. Believe it or not, that is the highest thing you can do in your life, is be able to handle the stuff on its way out, because it will go out. Now you see how everything I taught you is coming together. It is not going to stay in there naturally. It does not want to be in there. So when it comes back up, which it will, you don't have to make it. You have to go looking for it. It's going to come back up. Are you able to handle while it passes through you? And I told you, I already was nice to you. I already said the answer is no. But I at least asked the question. You couldn't handle it when it happened, and you can't handle it when it comes back up. Well, then we have some work to do. All right? So the answer is easy. Let it go. That's what let it go means. I can handle it. I don't have to do anything about it. I saw my ex, and my heart started getting a little scared. I looked at it like, come on, man, it's 10 years later. What are you doing? Walk over there and say hello. And I just rose above it, and I handled it. Well, if you can handle it and say hello, believe me, he's not going to be in there as much next time. It's because you were afraid of seeing him. You're afraid of facing him. Therefore, you're afraid of going to a party. Do you want to be like that? Because you do not have to be like that. You just have to be willing to not be like that. You have to be willing to handle something is coming up. It is not comfortable. The question is not, do I like it? The question is not, do I want it to come up? The question is not, do I want the person to apologize so it didn't come up? No, the question is, can I handle it? Now you don't say that. You say, I don't like this. I don't think I can handle this. You say that? I can't handle this. Wow, okay, good. You'll be screwed for the rest of your life. Remember that. Can you handle it? Yes. Because if you say no, you can't. Do you understand that? That's how you deal inside yourself. I do not want this stuff inside of me. Therefore, it is not going to be there. I'm not going to go fishing for it. But if I don't like it when it comes back up, I'm going to kiss it goodbye. I'm going to welcome it up inside of me. I'm going to, there's so many things. So the highest is to just relax. What does that mean? I can handle it. I'm asking you to relax. In the face of what? Everything. Because if you don't relax, you're going to push it back down. All right? People always ask me, what do you mean relax? I mean relax. Relax your tummy, relax your chest, relax your buttocks. Just relax. And then lean away from the disturbance. There'll be something inside that's going like this. Relax and lean away. That's the highest thing you can do. Why? One, you didn't resist it. You relaxed through it. Two, you leaned away, giving it space. So that as much as it's possible that it can release, it will. Doesn't mean it's going to release all at once. It won't release all at once because you're not capable of handling it. But if you start practicing handling, releasing, that's what it is. You practice handling, releasing. Do it with little things, the weather, the way the person drives in front of you, whatever it is, right? Just practice relaxing through things that are not comfortable to you instead of making a big deal out of them. And if you do that, then bigger stuff will come up and you'll practice, like playing the piano. You practice your scales first. All right? So I know you're not capable of doing it. Nobody's saying that you should be capable of doing it. What I'm telling you is you're capable of learning to do it. You're very intelligent. You're very bright. You're very willful. You can learn things. The highest thing you can learn is to be able to handle reality because the alternative is absurd. Okay? And I'm telling you, whatever's happened to you so far goes under the moniker of reality. Isn't it? It's what really happened. It's what happened. So if you couldn't handle it before, I'm begging you to handle it now. All right? Or at least say I want to. First say I want to, then say I can and I will. I can tell you, you get to a certain point with this and you see it works, that the stuff you've been carrying around there isn't there anymore. People say things, different situations used to get you all upset. Nothing. You don't even notice anything. Right? And then all of a sudden, at some point, you start feeling more of this energy. Sometimes it's just a smile that didn't used to be there. And sometimes it's waves of rushes of beautiful energy. Doesn't matter until you get to a point where you'll never go down again. I want you to know you'll never go down again. You'll never have another problem again for the rest of your life. She might, but you'll just relax through it. And plus, if she does have a problem, that's a blessing. Why? Because it's an opportunity to take another boulder out. It's an opportunity to see why. What did I store inside of me that is unable to handle this situation? And then let it go. And all of a sudden, your problems become your stepping stones to your growth. And your good days become your stepping stone to your growth. Good to get fed, good to be high, good to experience the beauty and remember what that feels like, and good to go through tough times. If you'll just keep letting go, let go, the stuff will go. Do you understand that? Why? Because you're the one who's holding it in there. And so if you do this practice of not resisting, of releasing, over time, it doesn't happen all at once, it takes time, but it works. It can't not work. I don't care if it's just the tiniest thing passes through. It can't not work. Once one passes by, the next easier. Pretty soon you'll be in the habit of constantly letting go of every single thing that comes up and everything that happens. Now, where does meditation come in? I told you that stuff's easy. Because it's hard for you to do this, meditation helps you practice being conscious and present when your mind is not doing so well, your heart's not doing so well. There's no such thing as a bad meditation. None. If you sit down and your thoughts bother you through your entire meditation, you come to me and say, I had bad meditation? I say, why? Because my thoughts just wouldn't shut up. You mean you're conscious enough to know that you're not your thoughts and that you're separate from your thoughts and they wouldn't shut up? Oh my God, namaste. Anything you do to better yourself is wonderful. So anytime you put aside to work with yourself, anything you do, just remember why you're doing it. You don't meditate to see blue pearls and white lights and have out-of-the-body experiences. You meditate to practice letting go. And there's plenty of time to practice, isn't there? Because there's always garbage going on in there, right? And you just practice. You practice being okay with not okay. You practice letting go. If it's cold out, that's a good time to practice being okay with not okay. Because I don't care what you do. If you have to walk from point A to point B in the cold, you're going from point A to point B. The only question is, what are you doing inside? Might as well use it to go to God. If it's hot out, you're going to be hot, it's going to be out, and you're going to be sweating. I'm not telling you not to go inside, but if you happen to have to be outside, you're going to experience it outside anyways. What are you doing inside? Complaining? Carrying on? Hating it? I want to move from Florida. I don't even like this. Blah, blah, blah. Making a mess out of everything? Or letting go. Let go of the complainer. Let go of the one you stored in there that's now a mess. And you use every single moment. So meditation, mantra, say something in your mind over and over again, so you have an opportunity to hang out with that instead of hanging out with your resistant mind. All the techniques have meaning. They're all fine. Don't come to me and say, if I do this meditation technique, is that good? If I do this mantra, is that good? If I do new age therapy things and massage and so on, is it good? If I do this form of hot yoga or this or that, it's all fine. If you're doing things in order to stay present and let go of where you used to hang out, you're doing wonderful. Just do it, right? It's Nike. Just do it, right? But remember what it's about. It is about releasing these blockages. And when you release the blockages, you will become higher. How can you not? It's like, if I throw off the anchor, will I sail better? Yeah, you really will. And you just more and more use life to get rid of your stuff instead of using life to compensate for your stuff. You lose both ways. Life is not going to compensate for your stuff, only for a minute. Then it disappoints you. You know that you've been on the block. Plus, you'll keep your stuff. I'm telling you, next time you're out there trying to compensate for your stuff, remember the kid who's throwing the tantrum in the store and the parents rushing all over the place to try and get him what he wants. Because that's what you're doing. You're going to be so embarrassed if you remember that and you watch yourself do it every second. Run around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to get what will make you feel better. Why don't you get rid of what's making you feel bad? It's a whole nother way of looking at it. So that is spiritual growth. That is what it means to grow spiritually. Now you understand why you don't feel the Shakti flow. It's there, believe me, it's there. You're just choosing to put your attention elsewhere. The fact that it's blocked, how did it get blocked? I did it, I blocked it. You're the only one in there. No one else could block it. My husband did it. No, he didn't. If you had let go of what he did, he still wouldn't be in there. You're the only one in there. That's your house. That's your kingdom. So you understand that there's beauty inside. There's gold in them, there are hills. Absolutely. But you've blocked it. What blocked it is you resisting the events that happened to you that you didn't like, clinging to the ones you did, and filling yourself with all this garbage about the past. So what do? Let it go. How? I told you how. And all the techniques you use will help you do that. But most important, remember, I'm letting this stuff go. Just every morning, remember, I am waking up into a day in which there will be less of me when I go to bed tonight. There will be less stuff inside of me. I guarantee you there will be less stuff inside of me when I put my head down at night, because I am going to use this entire day to let go of every single bit that comes up. And I ain't taking any more on, I tell you that. That's something I learned early in the 70s. It takes 2 seconds to store one and 2 years to get one out. You hear me? Just have a friend of yours not behave the way you expected and resist it. And start going, what's wrong with her? Why I didn't do anything? And get like that. And see how you feel next time you see her. See if you feel real open, or if you get scared again, and all kinds of stuff goes, see? You're making a mess. Okay? All right. I hope you understand these things. Thank you for listening. Jai Gurudev.